you've obviously got to focus on software as a service type businesses, and there are some real advantages to software as a service type companies. Can you tell us what you believe the biggest advantages are?
Yeah, sure. I mean, SaaS companies, and again, there's different flavors. Now, software as a service is a huge part of the software industry. And I mean, there's whole conferences and communities dedicated to it. I think fundamentally, from our perspective, and this certainly applies to Brand Live, you have a generally recurring revenue model,
Yes.
meaning the thing that you're selling is delivered on a regular basis with high frequency. And generally it's used by, more than one person. I mean, it's definitely possible to be used by one, but generally it's a team-based approach where you're managing different parts of a larger organization, or you're managing different teams and workflows. And in many respects, you're replacing existing workflows that exist that are hard and challenging and difficult. And so it has some natural kind of recurrence patterns that lend themselves really nicely to a pay-as-you-go model. Now, that doesn't mean that the customer has to pay monthly. Certainly, we'd love it if they pay up front. But the recurrence patterns are what attracted me much to software as a service. It also creates a ton of opportunity to build software that benefits everybody.
Yeah.
So as you develop your roadmap, as you develop your product, in theory, if your largest customer asks for 5 things, hopefully those investments and advancements help or benefit the rest of your customer base. The Smarsh business was very focused on SMB and mid-market. So it tended to be thousands of companies, relatively low ACVs or contract sizes. The Brand Live business is very focused on enterprise. So, our average contract value is 50 to 60K. So it's a very different business, but the same thing that I think that I've described is what makes these types of business really attractive, is that you can really invest, and as long as you have a feeling for where the puck's headed, the investments into product will benefit all of your future sales over the next couple of years. The challenge, of course, with SaaS companies, they tend to run unprofitably, especially in the early period, because so much of your headcount is humans. And so you're trying to build enough of a recurring revenue base that you have enough revenue to cover your human expense, assuming that 30 to 40% of your expenses are going into product development. So it tends to be, fortunately or unfortunately, a business that attracts a lot of venture money because they tend to burn money in the beginning. And it does take a long time for SaaS companies. If you look at I've studied this quite a bit. If you look at most traditional SaaS businesses, it takes them 5 to 10 years on average to really get to a certain scale.
Yes.
And that's okay. I think finding product market fit often takes longer. There's not as much overnight sensations, but the good news is once you've found the recurrence patterns and once you've found the base of customers, in theory, as long as you have an ear to the customer and you're focused on the customer, your product should just get better every month, every release, every quarter.